You know what? They changed that music. That was not the music I was expecting because I'm using StreamYard, and I haven't used it in, like, a year, so I had no idea that that was going to be the music that was going to play during the countdown. No warning. There was absolutely no warning for that. That was fun. Okay. Um, yeah, like I mentioned in the title, everybody's talking well, not everybody. I'm seeing a lot of talk about possibly World War III. Let me just go ahead and I guess I can just go ahead and show that here on the thing. Let me see here. Let me see if I can remember how to do this. Yo, what's up, Rolo? Hold on. Give me just a second. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about here. Um, Apparently the Ukrainians drone struck somewhere in Russia and apparently hit nuclear submarines. I don't know how much of this is true. This is just the stuff that I've seen in like the last hour or so. So I don't know how much of this has just happened. What is going on, sir? Like I said, I'm back on StreamYard. The last stream I had, I did not have the ability to actually do this. So now I've actually got the ability to do it again. What is up, Ollie? Yeah, I'm talking about war apparently kicking off. Apparently we got a war going between we had a war going between Russia and Ukraine, but this is the first time that like Ukraine has done some shit like this, right? Like that they've sent a drone apparently this far into Russia, that they've hit submarines and blew them up, and now that there's people talking about, but I feel like this happens anytime there's some sort of like major escalation with these conflicts. People immediately start talking about, oh no, this means World War III. But eventually, though, I feel like eventually people are going to be right. Who knows? Maybe this will be the one. I don't know because I'm pretty sure like I think America and everybody's getting tired of. I Is everybody just tired of all the war bullshit between this one and the Israel Palestine one? I'm tired of all of it. I'm tired. Everybody settle down. Again, I guess nobody said everybody settle down. Let me see what else is happening here. Let me just refresh and we'll see what I see on X or Twitter or whatever the hell horse thing. What is this? Mexican girls in Mexican cartoons, Mexican girls in Latin X cartoons. There you have it, I guess. Like this has become such a popular thing now on social media. I'm a little bit over it. India and Pakistan. You know what? Another good one. Another good one. India and Pakistan. That one's also kind of weird too, because I feel like that one's even stranger because they're like all the same people, right? It's almost kind of like the Russia Ukraine thing where it's like if you hear a Russian speaking Russian and you hear a Ukrainian speaking Ukrainian, right? Like that's what they call it. Like they sound almost kind of similar if you don't know the languages, and they almost kind of look like the same people. It's kind of like that with India and Pakistan, but even weirder because India and Pakistan, it's like they're fighting with each other because of like a line that the British drew, and they're like for whatever reason they really cling to whatever it is that they feel makes them special about that line bullshit. So, oh, did y'all see this thing? The One Piece season 2 reveal of Chopper. Chopper's coming to season 2. I don't know anything about One Piece. I've seen like the animated movies, like a couple of the animated movies, which they're fine. And I think I've seen a few episodes of the anime, but I'm not really a One Piece fan. I did like the live action season 1 though. So I'll watch this one, and they're putting in the little deer person named Chopper, right? So there's that. And yeah, the only other thing that I've been seeing a lot, let me stop sharing this for now. The only other thing that I've been seeing, wrong layout. The only other thing I've been seeing lately is what else I've put here, and I use as a thumbnail is the whole Doctor Who thing. I don't know if anybody else is a Doctor Who fan. I've been a big fan. I haven't watched this latest season though. It's just seeing this whole new thing, this new reveal. I think we're getting back to that again. Shock reveals for the sake of shock reveals. I hate that. I hate that trend. I hate that trend in TV and movies of like bringing back someone from like the past just to like guarantee like people who loved past seasons of something will check it out just because like we're bringing back someone from one of the else. I hate when they do that. I hate that so much, and that's exactly what they're doing with Doctor Who. Granted, they do that with Doctor Who a lot, but they're doing it again. And it's like they had just changed the doctor. He had been there less than 5 years. Well, no, I think it was like 5 years, right? No, no, it's been 3 years that he's been the doctor. And there are, I mean, granted, like I said, I wasn't that big of a fan of his like run as the doctor. I wasn't a fan of Jodie Whittaker's either. I checked out after the Rosa Parks episode. I can't even lie to y'all. There was just something so pretentious about British people kind of doing this like finger wagging thing when they're talking about like American racism, like at that time, like leading up to the civil rights movement. There's just something so weird about British people doing that type of topic. I couldn't handle it after that. That's the one where I mentally checked out because after that, I can't remember any of the other episodes. I remember that one, and I don't remember any of the other ones after that. That's where I mentally checked out. Now, this new one, I saw like the first two episodes with him, and I it wasn't interesting to me. And then also, I don't know if this is just me. Y'all let me know if there are any other Whovians who feel this way. It's for me like the sonic screwdriver isn't like essential to the Doctor because granted, like there were plenty of incarnations of the Doctor who didn't even use a sonic screwdriver. But I feel like in this, ever since they brought the show back, like the sonic screwdriver is very important to the Doctor. And if it's almost kind of like if they don't have a cool, well, they have their wardrobe too, but it's kind of like if they were Batman, you know what I mean, and they're drawn with a lame Batmobile, it loses something. They can still be a cool character, but it loses. And with his sonic screwdriver, it reminded me of the remote from Click, that Adam Sandler movie, the weird shape of it and everything. Like it didn't work. I didn't like Jodie Whittaker's either. Like the weird, like it had like what was it, like an exposed like crystal or whatever the hell. Didn't like that either. It didn't look good. It looked so stupid. It looked like it like got stuck in the door and broke off, and she just had to keep. Which I think wasn't that sort of like what happened. I don't know. Like I said, mentally checked out. I wasn't that invested to begin with, but I was willing to give it a shot. And then when we hit the Rosa Parks thing, and we went right over the cliff, and I said, you know what? I think I'm done. I think I'm done. I think I'm good. And I did watch the rest of that season later after it ended. I went back and watched it. Do not remember it. Again, when I rewatched it, I got to the Rosa Parks thing and mentally checked out a second time. So I just knew it wasn't going to work. That's why I was willing to give this new one a shot. I was like, maybe they'll do something interesting with him. No, no, no. Joke was on me. I stopped watching Doctor Who when it became Pete. See, I liked Peter Capaldi. I didn't at first. I was so tied to Matt Smith that I didn't want Peter Capaldi to take over, but he brought such a gravitas to it that I was willing to accept it. Like once I got into Peter Capaldi's run, and by the end of it, I was actually really sad to see him go. Um, and yeah, and as soon as Jodie Whittaker's took over, I felt that you felt the vibe shift in this show, and it felt like they were no longer taking the Doctor seriously. Which, granted, I feel like if you were going to have any type of like gripe against Peter Capaldi's, it's that maybe they took the Doctor a little too seriously, to a degree. But I feel like that the problem with Jodie Whittaker's was that they immediately shifted the other way and were like, we're not going to take the Doctor seriously at all. As a matter of fact, the Doctor is probably the least important thing in this fucking story, and that I cannot abide. That I'm sorry. Also, is everybody enjoying the fact I finally turned on the light? So I decided, you know what, fuck it. You can't see Namor's face up there anymore, but that's fine because yeah, that's him. Well, the other way, that's him smashing. Well, now you also have the ring light right there, but that's him smashing this big swastika, and you have Captain America and the flaming torch. It's an invaders thing, as you can kind of see. So um, but yeah, I finally, like I said, I finally turned on the light. You can actually see the shelf is full of stuff. You can see the Warhammer sword back there. You can actually finally see the things. You can see Miguel's sombrero. This is his name is Miguel because he's not a Mike. He's got a sombrero. His name is Miguel. Let's see what do we got here. It's been 3 years. Also, what's up, KS? It's been 3 years, three very long and overly preachy years. That's what I've heard. Like I said, I did not watch the whole thing. I'm morbidly curious, so I might do the same thing I did with Jodie Whittaker's. Now that it's over, I might go back and rewatch the whole thing just to see what the hell's going on. Double O inside. I hope I said that right, or 00 inside, something along those lines. It's the how you said that the thing isn't good anymore. Look over here. Remember this? Exactly. Yeah, the whole like bringing someone back, like the nostalgia thing. It's like, hey, remember this person? Like, remember how much you loved seeing this character on screen? We have them on screen again. I get it, and yes, that's not incorrect. I do enjoy seeing that character, but I don't enjoy seeing that character when you're using it just to get my eyes on the screen. Um, they're just using it completely wrong. Exactly. I'm a wait to catch the stream. What is up, QT Remnant? Good to see you too. Peter Capaldi. Yeah, like I said, by the end, I was actually really sad to see him go. So it sucked. The famous words of the Iron Sheik, Doctor Who gives a fuck. I mean, at this point, yeah, that's about where we're at. There's something fascinating about this desire writers have with revealing too much about a protagonist with a mysterious past, whether the Doctor or Boba Fett or oh, that's right, the Hannibal Lecter thing. I never watched that. I remember hearing it talked about, and I don't know, that was one that I think that there was like what mixed reactions because I heard a lot of people say bad shit, and then I saw a lot of people who said that they genuinely enjoyed it. So they could have been lying. I haven't ruled that out. They could have been lying. Leave the mystery. Yeah, some of it like I feel should remain a mystery. Like I feel like that's why we've explored maybe just a little bit too much of the Doctor's past. Like we need to focus on going for they love to be very progressive over there, but they're very regressive in their storytelling. It's wildly inconsistent. So I think that they do need to focus more on the future instead of trying to like shoehorn in things they want to have been in the past into the past. Leave it alone. What's done is done. Build onto the tree or leave it alone. Mm. Um, Along those lines, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, the to kind of further that though, because I also wanted to talk a little bit about the like the Superman and the Fantastic Four movies. I'm willing to give them a shot. There's a lot. There's hear me out. There's a lot that that it gives me pause. There's a lot that gives me pause. Like with the Superman thing, I want to see just how silly they're going to get with the dog thing. Because I have 3 dogs. I have one named Crypto. They're all very silly, and I get it to a degree. I get the dog thing to a degree, but we need to not stray too far into that type of thing. So that and it's James Gunn, which I've never been shy about saying this about James Gunn. I'm not a huge fan of his humor style. I've never been shy about saying that because while he does, I think, make great movies, especially like with the Guardians of the Galaxy stuff, like I think he did well. The Suicide Squad, though, you know what? I might have to go back and rewatch it. I've only seen it like 2 or 3 times, and I feel like the 3rd time I wasn't really paying that much attention. So I might need to go back and rewatch it just one more time just to kind of to see. But again, it's like I'm worried that he's going to do too much of that shit in Superman, and it's going to be because I have heard like the reports that apparently they saw like the test audiences saw it and they weren't really that jazzed about the humor. So I'm worried it might be more of that. And if that's the case, I don't know. I just I hope that like the action parts and the actual story is enough to keep me interested because James Gunn, when he really wants to do his humor bit, like you could tell, it's almost like you can tell in the movie when he was like, "Oh, this is so funny, I'm gonna keep going." But it was probably that moment where he should have stopped. Like there are so many times that I've been watching one of his movies, and I have that moment in my mind where I'm like, "Okay, I got it, I got it. Okay, go on, I get it. Move on." I'm afraid there's probably going to be some of that in Superman. Although who knows? Maybe the test audience was able to like get them to cut because I think they cut out like I've heard it was like 20 minutes. So not the biggest chunk in the world, and it's still like 2 hours long. So I think it's worth checking out. The other one that worries me is Fantastic Four, not because of the Silver Surfer like a lot of other people, partially because of the Pedro Pascal thing, mostly just because it's not that I have a problem with seeing him and everything. I don't give a shit how many movies he's in. He can be in every movie if he wants. I worried because I don't see Reed Richards in him still. Um there's a disconnect. Like I don't know if it's because I haven't seen it in action. Well, I mean, I've seen like the trailers, but I don't know if it's because like that, like I haven't seen like the whole thing, the whole product to gauge. But there's a disconnect when I see like, okay, that's supposed to be Reed. I don't know. It doesn't. it doesn't click in my head. So I'm hoping to be sold on that. The rest of the movie looks all right. I do respect how they did the thing in this movie. Granted, the way that they did Michael Chiklis's costume in the first Fantastic Four movies was serviceable for the time. Practical effects, I'm always going to be in favor of practical effects to a degree because I when you watch those movies back, you can tell the parts that are like a suit. You know what I mean? So that's where I feel like the CGI does come in handy if they can like embellish parts, you know what I mean? But and that's what I feel like they did with this movie. So I'm looking forward to seeing it because the effects and everything, the aesthetic of like the 60s thing I'm jazzed for. Like I've been enjoying how they did that in the Loki show. And I got that sense too with the Loki show. I was like I get the feeling what they're doing with the TVA of like the like 60s 70s type of like technology and aesthetic. I had a feeling they were going to keep going with that and it seems like they're doing that with this movie. Although going to be interesting to see because they're obviously going to have Sue pregnant in this one. She's going to give birth. I'm wondering if, like everybody said, their universe gets destroyed. I'm pretty sure that's like certain. The only thing I'm wondering is like Franklin going to carry over into like the new universe? Because that I don't know, that could end up creating all kinds of just like continuity problems if they have like a kid that can, you know what I mean, can alter reality. I don't and that's why I feel like that might be part of, like, the big reveal at the end of the movie, like, their universe dies, they come here to the main MCU universe, whatever you wanna call it, and they find out, like, they don't have their kids, and they or kid, whatever it's gonna be. I don't know if it's gonna be 1 or if they're gonna have try to do a twin situation, don't put it past them. Um, that's why I'm wondering, like, is it going to end up being that they're gonna end up once the kid, like, destroy or like alters the universe, wipes away, whatever the hell it's gonna be. Is the kid gonna carry over and still have the same powers? Will they have to go searching for the child? You know, is that gonna be like the impetus that stirs them into like the grander superhero thing? I don't know. There are a lot of different ways, and I think that's part of the reason why I'm actually interested because I feel like the whole first steps thing isn't just referring to Sue having a kid. I feel like it's also like them referring to like this more so being like the first steps of like everything that's to come. Um, but I don't know. I don't I try to keep up with this stuff like as closely as I can, but I don't have that much time to do this shit. You know what I mean? Like all of this stuff is it granted it looks like more than just a hobby, but it's just a hobby for me. So I can only keep up with the news so much. And that's why I'm saying I have no idea what's going to end up happening here. What do we got? When you cast someone to play Reed Richards and he suddenly has a pencil mustache because the actor who plays him doesn't want to shave it, we have a problem. I know. And see, and it's not even like a Caesar Romero type of thing where they can like cover it up with paint or whatever. And I will say this: I'll give them the smallest amount of grace and respect in that they didn't do the Henry Cavill thing and like try and digitally like wipe it out. I'll give them credit for that. Still should have shaved it. You know what I mean? At least look like Reed Richards. But I guess I'll give them some credit for that. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's like if you're not gonna cover it up, then dude, I like shave it off. You're playing the character. At least try and look like the character. Um Now granted, I say that, but we do have the female Silver Surfer in here, and I don't have an issue with that. I don't. Um, just because again, like there are so many ways that that can be like there are things you can do with that. You know, if the universe is wiped away, they could always just redo that, you know what I mean? And then end up having it Nor and Rad. That could be the reason why they're not using Nor and Rad, you know what I mean? Because the universe is going to be destroyed. So why would you introduce like the character that people really want to see if the universe is just going to be wiped away? You know, it's because the only other way would be like if he like travels like to the new universe with the Fantastic Four, which again could be possible, but I feel like they're setting up a little bit more of like a rug pull. I think we need to talk about that because I feel like these studios are starting to do this shit where they they know that people are gonna get mad about certain things, like with this, like with the female Silver Surfer, so they do it, and then granted, total tinfoil hat conspiracy, but this is just what I'm starting to think. Could they be doing this shit on purpose with the intention of setting up the rug pull of, like I said, wipe out the universe, female Silver Surfer's gone, then they end up introducing like Nor and Rad into the main like universe and everything. And that way they could be like, see, you got mad, but you didn't know what we were gonna do. If honestly, I'm that type of petty that if I were one of those creators, I would do some shit like that. I would absolutely put the female Silver Surfer in a movie just to kill her off at the end, and from there, bring in like the male one and be like, "See, y'all thought I was gonna do the female one, and I wasn't. I only did it to trick you." That's some shit I would do, and I'm wondering if there's anyone in Hollywood who's planning to do that. So, if they did, I would find that funny. Legitimately, I would applaud them for a game well played. Mm. Ah, I miss when I used to get drunk on streams. But the thing is, it dries your mouth out, and then you end up having to drink more water, and then you end up having to go pee a lot. So I'm sticking to the water because it just hydrates me. It's not like I stopped drinking or anything. I just don't drink on stream just because, like I said, it gives me fucking cotton mouth. So let's see. Those are all fair concerns. I'm just looking for an enjoyable movie. Same for Fantastic Four. I'm just tired from everyone being overly critical, deserved or not. Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. There's a lot of criticism, a lot of it fair. I will say that. I'm not It's not that I think people are being unfair. There's definitely reasons that give credence to people's like hesitation and like wariness and shit like that. But it gets to a point, you know what I mean? It gets to a point where it feels like they want it to be bad just to justify that feeling. And that's where I'm like, okay, maybe like don't put the cart before the horse, man. Like it's one of those things too where it's like if you know that you don't like somebody and you hear someone like telling lies about them and you kind of like correct the record, not because you like that person, but because you're like, they're an asshole. So we don't have to make up lies about them. Like we can tell the truth about them, and that is enough to make we don't have to like spread lies or try and get ahead of them to try and that's I think that's where it gets a little annoying, and especially because it feels like it's what everybody does now. And I don't know, I guess that's just the contrarian in me that thinks like, hold on now, let's not rush to group consensus on anything. Because I feel like that a lot of times that leads to things kind of being overlooked, things falling by the wayside because the entire group decides that there's nothing worth exploring over there. It takes like one person finally going and being like, hey, there's gold in them Nar Hills, you know? Eventually somebody's gotta like take one for the team, I guess. So if no one else is gonna do it, I guess I'll do it sometimes just to remind people every once in a while, like, hey, there is another perspective. Not to be that guy, but somebody has to unfortunately be that guy and say that there is one more perspective to possibly consider. So um yeah, that's I think my version of your boy Zach's ongoing tirade right now, because I have seen all of that, his issues with other YouTube creators and other YouTube creators having a problem with him, and it's a lot of that lately, isn't it? People like holding each other's shit to the fire for I don't know. I don't even know anymore. I honestly don't even know anymore. It's a lot. Maybe just do a Jack Jack kind of thing with Franklin to avoid continue. Well, see, that's what I'm wondering. How do you avoid the continuity issues if he I don't know. I'm gonna have to see. That's the thing. Like I give them that credit. They got my mind working enough that I'm thinking, well, how are they going to work with this, and how are they going to like reconcile that to a point that I'm thinking, well, there's no other way for me to like just sit here and think about it. I'm gonna have to go and watch the damn movie. So that's why I'm actually looking for. And the good thing is, both Superman and Fantastic Four and Jurassic Park, right? They all come out in July. So, and my birthday is on July 9th. So it's going to be a good month for me because it's like I get to celebrate my birthday and I get to like watch three different movies. So, and they're like movies that I'm actually looking forward to seeing. which I haven't had in a while, or at least not in that kind of density, all within the same month and within my birth month, all at the same time. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. And I think we need more of that. People just looking forward to shit again. You remember what it was like to be excited about things? Can we try it again? Do you think you could try it again? Do you remember what it feels like? I don't know. Um, yeah, there's a lot of, I don't know. It feels weird to say there's a lot of negativity on the internet because like that's a thing that everybody knows. But at the same time, it feels like it's one of those things that if you don't mention it, people forget. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. No, it's not just me because actually now that I'm thinking about it, just like QT Remnant said, like people are talking about it. Like people are mentioning this, but I'm wondering like is there going to end up being a balance to some of this where people are going to finally give things a chance but not follow the herd? I guess 2009. Oh my god, 2009. What was I doing in 2009? That's the year my brother graduated from high school. I was a sophomore. Oh no, 2009 wasn't a good year for me. 2010 was a little bit better. Yeah, 2010, 2011 was all right. 2009 wasn't great. Um, 2009. Well, my God, we're almost what 20 years away from that. Shit, I don't like that. Anybody else not like that? Anybody else not like the fact that we're almost 20 years removed from 2009? Because that doesn't sound right to me, but it is. Shit. God, that's depressing. I'm not gonna spiral over that right now, but damn, almost 20 years ago, 2009. Shit. And I graduated in 2011, just so everybody knows. So I'm almost coming up on my, well, no, I have like what, 6 years before my 20-year anniversary. Um, that's gonna be fun. Still haven't talked to anybody I went to high school though with. Um, I haven't heard anything about the Zack stuff since I've been getting up in other stuff that I'm interested in, like the Fate franchise or rereading Superman Earth One. Nice pick. Nice pick. Doesn't sound good to me either. 2009, I was 31. I'm 31 now. Why did I sound confused about that? My birthday's in July. So yeah, I turned 32 this year. I'm 31 right now. Uh my God. Um yeah, I don't know, there's growing drama with this whole thing, the whole Zach thing between him and Eric July. Do I guess I'll just ask, are there any Rippaverse fans in the chat? Not because I'm like trying to single anybody out. I'm just curious. I'm honestly just curious because I that's another thing that I have not kept up with. I know there's a lot. There's been a lot and I have not kept up with it. So I'm wondering if anybody actually has here. Um Also, when you say the Fate franchise, are you talking about the comics? Like the Fate comics? Because I have been trying to put together that run for a minute and I can only ever find like 2 to 3 like scattershot issues here or there. Um, you were like 5 in 2009. Oh, get out. Just get out. No, I'm kidding. You can stay. Wow. 5 in 2009. Let me see. My sister was born in 98, so she was 11 in 2009. So, geez, you were 5. That's just gonna keep happening. As I get older, I'm gonna keep getting more and more people who are that young. So let's see, so you were born after 2000. Damn, you were born after the Twin Towers fell. That's crazy. Something to, yeah, I know. I'm over here saying I'm not going to spiral about it, and I'm over here spiraling talking about the Twin Towers and shit. Um, damn, 2009. Well, 5 in 2009. So yeah, born in like 2004 ish, 2003, depending on when your birthday is. Wow, not me. I was born in 93. Okay, that's what I was wondering. I was like, if you're talking about the comics, that's cool. Fate, Stay Night, Grand Order. Okay, I said that like I understood what you're talking about, and I still don't. I'm assuming it's something that you're into, and that's fine. That's cool. I have no idea what it is. If you want to give me more of a description, that's fine. I honestly I'm kind of lost there. Um, what was I going to talk about? Oh yeah, the Zach thing. Um, I don't know. I feel like it's again one of those things. I feel like there are good points in there. because there are a lot it's basically the same thing like we were talking about. The a lot of negative opinions about shit. And I get it. To an extent, I get it. As a fellow fan, as a fellow hardcore fan of a lot of this shit, I get it. But I feel like a lot of people are jumping the gun. It goes back to like I said, when something's bad, you don't have to lie about it. You know what I mean? If I fed you a spoonful of shit, you would absolutely not need to me to lie to you about it, or you wouldn't need to make up any lies about it. You could just tell the truth. It's a spoonful of shit. And it's something like that, but it's I don't know. I feel like people are doing this thing where they see every jar as a jar of shit. And I feel like I hate to use shit as like the only example, but it's the only thing that came to mind. I feel like we're doing a little bit too much of that, or not we. Some people are doing a little bit too much of that, and it gets to a point where it's a little bit disingenuous. I want an honest opinion. I'm fine with you saying that something's bad, but I want it to be honest. Like honestly engage with it and tell me why you didn't like it. Not just I feel like a lot of people tell me why I shouldn't like it instead of telling me why they don't like something. And that for me, just personally, I've never it annoys me when people can't describe something. You know what I mean? If you don't like something, tell me why. Like if you can't even tell me why, I don't believe or it's not that I don't believe you. I don't really put much stock into your opinion because you don't even seem to understand it. So I mean, if you've made up your mind, that's understandable. But if you can't explain your position, I feel like it's not exactly well thought out. It's probably just surface level, and more power to you for doing so. I can't. I prefer not to operate that way. Why is my dog barking? Yeah, there's no. I'm gonna say there's nobody here, and she barks again. Um, Actually, I think that's crypto. Oh well, they'll be fine. Um, it's anime and visual novel stuff. Oh, okay, anime and visual novel stuff. See that I'm even more I'm even more out of the loop of. I don't know anything about like anime stuff. Give me a second. Let me go figure out why my dog is barking. I'm sure it's nothing, but when you don't check, hold on. All right, sorry about that. Like I said, absolutely nothing. But well, if you don't go and check, you never really know for sure. So, but now that we've secured the premises, let's see what happened. I'm cautiously optimistic about the Superman movie. I'm not as excited about the Fantastic Four movie, though I dig the retro. Yeah, that's the thing. I really love the look of it. Like and that's why I'm a little bit sad that the universe is going to or it seems like the universe is going to be destroyed because damn it, I would love for them to at least do something with that. Granted, they're doing the movie, but I'd like them to do at least a little bit more exploration of that world. Maybe they can go back and do like I don't know flashbacks or something with other future projects. But it just seems like such a shame to make such a cool environment and then just wipe it away. You know what I mean? Like that. That's the part that really kind of hurts it. I got a bad feeling about it. I'm trying to I'm trying to ignore that because I mean, granted, the last superhero movie that I think it was the last one he was in, right? The last superhero movie that Pedro Pascal was in was what Wonder Woman 84 and that was terrible. That was such a bad movie. I did not and I did yeah, I saw it in theaters. Did not enjoy it. I did not enjoy that movie, and that I whatever he was trying to do with Maxwell Lord missed the mark for me on every level. I didn't enjoy it. So that's why and I think that was the last superhero movie that he was in. So that's why I'm saying I'm hoping that this time around he does better with the character that he was given. We'll chalk it up hopefully to maybe Maxwell Lord just wasn't the right character for him. So hopefully Reed Richards is a better fit, although we're not off to a good start that he doesn't seem to, embody the character. Thoughts on the Absolute Universe? I'm liking it so far. I haven't read all of them. I need to actually start and catch up on Absolute Martian Manhunter and Absolute Green Lantern. Yeah, just those two. And but yeah, with Absolute Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, I'm enjoying all three. The one that I think I'm probably enjoying the most, I think probably Absolute Wonder Woman, just because I like the magic shit. You know what I love shit that has to do with magic, and then, like, the whole, like, her costume and everything. I love it. Like, the whole thing is it's up my alley. Granted, the Absolute Superman, I think I'd probably put Superman 3rd, and then Absolute Batman probably 2nd. Yeah. Just because Absolute Batman, I wasn't sure what to expect from it, but I do like Scott Snyder's, like, writing style, so I think that's probably what helps it the most, that I do enjoy his writing. Your favorite is Absolute Superman. Also, the new Ultimate Universe. I haven't read all of it. I need to start Ultimate Wolverine. I've kept up with most of Ultimate Spider-Man, but I've fallen behind by 2 issues. So I need to catch up on those 2, and then I haven't read any of the Ultimates, but I have the issues, so I need to read all of those. Um, Other than that, though, like the general story that they've had going so far, I have been enjoying. I'm curious to see if this Ultimate Universe though is going to last as long as the other one. I'm hoping it doesn't end up dying out that the way that the other one did, because that was not no, that was the wrong way, the wrong way to end. Granted, I mean, it's not at that point that they ended the Ultimate Universe last time, it was basically limping along to its end, but the way that they ended it though, like it was such a disrespectful death. You know what I mean? It was like it was limping, and then they decided to like headbutt it when I like just hit it in the fucking head with the butt of a shotgun and then shoot it in the face. Like it was insulting and then they killed it. So I don't know. It was just there was no grace to the way that the Ultimate Universe went out. And that's why I'm hoping this one doesn't end up sharing the same fate, because damn, that would suck. I'm older than you and Dirt, but the thing that I started to notice around 2010-ish is so many movies seem to do a poor job of establishing characters and arcs in films that are over 2 hours long. That's true. Uh, I feel like because a lot of times now, this is another one of like my own little tinfoil hat conspiracies that I've been thinking about, because I have thought on that too. I feel like a part of it is so many people want their movies to be like franchised or like have multiple sequels and shit. So they write them in such a way that they're planning that they're going to have all this time in the world to really spread out that character development and hit all these different story beats, and they forget that if you don't hook the people in the first movie, they're not going to give a shit about you making any others. So I think that's kind of been one of the bigger downfalls. It's kind of like the same thing that's been happening like with the music industry for a while. You know what I mean? Where a lot of artists were putting out like just singles instead of albums. They were just doing single after single after single, because like it was that type of like constantly drip feeding the fans instead of just giving them an album for them to chew on and digest for a while, and then get excited for the next thing. Instead it was like, no, just keep giving them more and more, kind of like the hell is his name? James Woods on Family Guy, like the ooh piece of candy, basically like that. And I feel like that's how a lot of like movies have been and even like TV shows. If you look at the way the TV shows, you remember when TV shows used to get like fucking like the standard order I remember when I was growing up was like 24 to 26 episodes for a season. And nowadays it's like 8 to 10 episodes for a season of a fucking show. I it's that type of thing again where they're acting like as if they have all of that, like they have 20 episodes when they know they have 8 and each one is about 45 minutes long, and they don't do a good job of actually developing their characters because they're expecting that what they're giving people is going to hook them enough to want to come back for the next ones. And when it doesn't, they sit there all like surprised Pikachu, like, what happened? Why didn't it work? Why aren't people invested in our stories? Because you didn't fucking give them enough to get invested in. You didn't make your characters interesting enough. You didn't make the story gripping. You left them with some sort of cliffhanger that didn't actually have any stakes because the people aren't invested in the people or their stories. So why the hell would they give a shit about the cliffhanger ending? It means nothing. They're totally fine with that person hanging off the cliff for all of eternity because they don't care. They checked out. Kind of like me with the Rosa Parks episode of Doctor Who. I can't get over that. Oh god. I actually think James Gunn. Okay. I actually think James Gunn has flaws, but he does a decent job with a group of characters than many other directors. Yeah, I'll give him that because a lot of actors or a lot of directors can't handle like an entire group of people for an entire movie. That's why a lot of like movies end up having someone leave for some reason, like they get into an argument and they leave or they die. We don't really get a lot of directors that can handle an entire group of people and make each of them matter in such a way that people care about the group staying together for the entire movie. That I think is unique to him in a lot of ways. Because you don't get that anymore. We used to have it a lot back in the day with like the National Lampoon movies or like the like Euro Trip and Road Trip and shit like that. Like you used to have like directors that could have an entire group of people for an entire movie and everybody just loved every single one of them. And in recent years, I think we've lost some of that. So let's see, both Absolute and Ultimate deserve to have a long run, especially since some people continue to complain about the main universes being stagnant while not really providing good solutions. I have seen that too. I feel like a lot of people just here's another theory. This is my comic book theory. I have this theory that people have a set period of comic, well, not everybody, but for a lot of people they have a set period of comics that for them like that's comics, you know what I mean? So like for some people, like Danny O'Neill's Batman was like that was it. They read that run when it was ongoing, and to them that is always going to be Batman, you know what I mean? And once you get to this point, they're reading stories now and they're thinking, these stories aren't good because they're even if they're not doing it consciously, subconsciously, they're comparing it to their preconceived notion of Batman as told by Danny O'Neill's stories. And because of that, there's a part of them that won't move, or not so much move on. They don't get invested into the new stories because it's not those stories anymore. It's not that they don't like the character, and it's not that they were never actually into the character. It's just that they liked that story so much they wanted that to keep going, and these stories aren't that. So just because it's the same character doesn't mean they're going to like, and that's fine. I don't hold anything against people about that. I just think it's a little bit odd, I guess, when they're like almost violently against like stories that are coming out today. That's where I'm like, again, I get it, but maybe calm down just a smidge. That's why I say like that's my theory on it. I think that people just kind of have those times. Like for me, I would say like the time period, like the comics that were ongoing when I really came to like know the characters and got invested in them, it was during the New 52 era. Now, granted, I did read all of the New 52 books, but I wouldn't say like that's my understanding of Batman. You know what I mean? Mostly because I think it also helped that when I decided to get into comics heavy again, I went back and read like all of the Crisis events. So I was reading like a lot of like different eras. Like I went back to like comics from like the 60s, then I was reading like events from the 70s and then stuff from the 80s and then the 90s and the early 2000s. So I was like, I got a taste of all of the characters from different eras, from different writers, from different artists. And I think that for me, at least, that kind of helped me develop just like a rounder idea of the characters, and it's a little bit more malleable. Maybe that's why I'm a little bit more accepting of different stories, just because I came to know the characters like that, not so much because I feel like a lot of people, like if someone decides they like Spider-Man, they try to read every Spider-Man comic. I've seen that on social media a few times. It's always kind of weird when somebody gets into a character and then they try and like track down and read every comic that character has been in. I get it. I totally get it. The only reason why it's weird to me is because I do remember what it was like before you couldn't even get access to all of that, you know? Like so much of that shit now is cataloged on wikis, and I hope if there are any younger people out there, well, QT, you're one of them. You're born after 2000. Um there was a time there was a time when you didn't know this shit. Like when I'm talking about, do I have it here? Oh, I do. Hold on. When I'm talking about that I read all of the older comics, I have them here on this external hard drive. Actually, I'll see if I can try and like pull some of this up because I got to show y'all some of this. Um I had to torrent them. I torrented a whole bunch of shit, and that was how I read these stories because back in the day you didn't really have like, it wasn't widely cataloged online yet, like a lot of this stuff. So if you were going to try and read old comics, you'd better damn well know where the hell to find it because it wasn't, for one thing, it wasn't available just like to like the way that you can search right now on Google. Read comics free online. You could probably find like 4 or 5 sites that'll show you comics that came out just this week. Back then, what I used to have to do was like wait until new comic book day, and then by like midnight people would put them on torrent sites, and then that's when I was finally able to like go and actually like download them. Let me see here. Forgot I have to unplug my mouse because this poor thing only has so many USB ports. And I want to see if I can pull this out just to show you like how I used to read these and the way that it looks on my computer. Uh, Shit. Because yeah, this is like I said, this is the way that I used to have to do this once upon a time. And that's the thing. All of this stuff now you can find it in wikis. Like if you like a character, like I'm not going to use Spider-Man because he's been in so much shit. Let me use someone a little bit more obscure, I guess. Oh well, last time we talked about Zatanna. Talk about Zatanna, right? Say you wanted to read every single comic Zatanna has ever been in right now. You can do that because you can go to the wiki and it will have a list of every comic she's ever appeared in. That did not exist once upon a time. So I had to like basically trust other people when they told me that they had collected like every single comic book together. Hold on, let me see. I am going to see if I can share this shit with y'all real quick. Uh okay, that's not too helpful, but hold on. Oh, let me hide that too. Uh You would think that I know how to do this stuff, but no, no, not at all. Um, to hell with it. We might just have to say whatever. Oh wait. Oh, also, I should probably actually like open a comic just to like fucking show it to you. Um, or you know what? Let me see what the hell the name of the folder is. No, don't crash, don't crash. Shit. All right. Show it to y'all in a minute. But yeah, so it's one of those things where I want younger people to understand that y'all have access to so much shit now at your fingertips. It's just a Google search away. And I wish to God that would have existed back then because it would have made all of this so much easier. So whenever anybody says like reading comics is an expensive hobby, not really. Not if you, as long as you have an internet connection. Nowadays, you can find damn near anything. It kind of surprises me sometimes. Like some of the shit they have some obscure shit available on sites. I would show that, but I think that YouTube has a thing against like you showing like how you can do illegal things like that. So unfortunately, but yeah, I think that we need to see longer runs from comics. We need to see longer runs from TV shows. And if we're going to get that kind of like development, like you were talking about, cases where it's like they don't develop their characters because, like I said, I think that it's that. I think it's they assume they have more time than they actually have. That they're going to get more development than they're actually going to have. So I don't. There's no real way to fix that. They just don't know what they're doing. I think that that's it. They just don't know what they're doing. Um. Uh-oh. Uh. Hold on. There we go. Let's see. I was literally talking about the season episode count thing today to myself though. I do that a lot. Don't feel bad about it. I think Stargirl and Super. Oh, Stargirl was another one. Did anybody? Well, you just mentioned that you watched that. Did anybody else watch that show? Because I fucking loved Stargirl, except for the episode where Eclipsa was racist for whatever reason to Beth. Like, what the hell was that? He's like an alien, and for some reason he's like taunting her about the color of her skin. That again, I was like, what are we, y'all? What are we doing? Like, this is he's an alien. He's not just an alien. He's like an evil alien. Why is he giving her shit about the color of her skin? I don't know. To me, it was weird, and that was where I think that was one episode that I kind of like I mentally made note of just because it was so strange. 24 to 26 episodes, right? We had to wait a week every week for a new one. So there was actually water cooler talk. Yeah, that was another thing. When people used to actually talk about shows, I feel like now when people talk about shows, like they're talking about like an entire season of a show. You know what I mean? It's like you're expected to binge watch an entire show unless they do the thing. And I think that's probably why, like places like Amazon and shit, and I think Netflix does it now too, right? And especially Disney, where they'll do new episodes like a week because it got to a point where people were just watching the entire thing and then like basically spoiling it for everybody else. So you kind of have to force people to end up like talking about it in stages if you want it to be that way. Um let's see. When someone said Spider-Man once taught the Beyonder how to poop, you have to take their word for it. That's the good thing, or that used to be the good thing. You could just make up whatever once upon a time, and if people didn't have the issue to dispute your claim, then you were solid. They had no ammo against you. You could say whatever you wanted about it. Yeah, it happened in Amazing Spider-Man number 232, and if they didn't have issue 232, they had no way to say that you were lying. I also got in through the new 52. Yeah, that was a hell of a time. That was actually the main reason I got back into comics was because of the new 52 when I found out they were going to be relaunching everything because I wanted no, there was an article that came out. I've told this story before. There was an article came out about the legacy of Infinite on Crisis on Infinite Earths because of the fact that they were going to like reboot the new 52. So they were talking about there was an article talking about this was like a pivotal moment in the DC universe, and ever since then there have been like all these crises that like reset the universe and all this shit. And which, by the way, is a story that I'm going to be talking about in a video sometime soon because it it's one of those things where you're not so much that you would blame the fans, but as a fan, you got to be careful what you ask for. Um because in a lot of ways it was a fan question that was to blame for the Crisis on Infinite Earths and by proxy all of like this reboot shit that has happened ever since then. It all started with a fan letter that got writers and like basically the people and like editors thinking about like, maybe we should do something about that. And yeah, it's just kind of interesting, and I feel like that's something that needs to be like explored in a video and just kind of talked about. Like, and that's what I'm saying. Like sometimes you have to be careful what you ask for, because essentially they were saying, there have been instances where characters have met and y'all are showing them as like meeting for the first time, even though they actually teamed up in a book like 10, 15 years ago. So they were basically asking, like, can y'all give us like a definitive answer? Like, is what is or isn't canon, what is or isn't part of continuity? And that kind of basically got editors thinking like, well, maybe we should go ahead and, shore everything up so that we have a better handle on the grander story. Because when DC Comics started, they weren't telling a unified, cohesive story. Everybody was just telling stories, and then along the way, once they had all of their heroes like on teams and shit together, like with the Justice League and the Justice Society, they had to kind of like try and tie narrative threads together to make everybody's worlds fit together. And it it ended up leading to just a lot of cross continuity and things that didn't make sense together. So that was where they decided, you know what, let's just go ahead and chop down the tree and we'll regrow it. That way we have a much better handle on what comes from it. And then they tried to do the same thing with the New 52. It didn't work when they did it in the past. So they decided to do it again, and they decided to do it again and again and again and again. So eventually maybe they'll stop and find some other gimmick. Um, if there's one thing I learned about aliens, they're racist. Thank Doctor Who. That's true. That is true. Unless it's anime or Invincible, we don't have week to week discussion. That's true. And that used to be the good thing. Like I remember being a kid and like watching like Dragon Ball Z and shit like that. And like going to school the next day and like you talked about what happened in the previous episode. Granted, we were talking about the exact same fight for a very, very long time, but that was part of the fun of it. You would go to school the next day and you would talk to your friends about it, and y'all would speculate on what was going to happen next. And then there would be that one guy who would like make up a lie that his cousin like, lived somewhere else, and they already saw like the next episodes and they already knew. So that was part of the fun of it, like being able to like dissect who was bullshitting and things like that. Let's see. Comics were so much less expensive, so you could get a bunch of comics for $10, and your friends would get $5 to $10 of comics, and you would swap. Oh yeah, see that I never did get to experience the whole comic swapping thing. Unfortunately, that was right before my time. I would have enjoyed that. Um, During my time, we were doing like the whole Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh card swapping thing, so that was our thing. Um, Comics though, I wish, man, I wish we would have had. I wish I just would have had a comic book store in my hometown, but we were literally surrounded by cotton fields. So what can you do, right? Um, God, I wish New 52 Superman got a better comics or chances for some good character arcs. I love brash Superman so much. That personality trait makes Power Girl one of my favorite characters. Ah, Power Girl. They're still doing things with Power Girl, right? But Power Girl, like, there are certain characters nowadays that I don't keep up with just because I see a certain creative team and I don't want to. Like with Fire and Ice, they got an ongoing Fire and Ice series right now. What's a limited series? No interest because of what they've been doing with those characters lately. I'm just not interested. For what I've seen of the stories, I'm just not interested. And it's like that. And like I said, there are certain creative teams. The biggest ones for me it's nothing against the creators personally. It's just that I know for a fact I don't like their work, so I avoid it. Just because I save myself money, I save myself a little bit of a hassle. So the ones that's the case for me would probably have to be Becky Cloonan and Michael Conrad, right? That they did Wonder Woman, yeah. They're part of that. Another one is Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing. I think that's their name, right? Another one. I don't like their writing. It's nothing against them personally. I just don't like their writing. Um, Tom King is one that I can't stand his writing. Dan Slott, another one. Um, who else? I'm trying to think of like people who write stuff like right now that I've seen, and I think to myself, no, I have no interest. I think that's probably it. But like I said, yeah, it's not the I have anything against them personally. I've read their stories and I don't enjoy them. That and you would read comics by the spinner rack until a store employee told you to buy it or leave. That again, I wish I would have experienced that at some point, but unfortunately, I never had any damn comic book stores. The closest was like a half price bookstore where they had comics. So that was where I got a few comics. You know what? That's another idea. That could be another thing that I'll do a review on, like the first comic that I ever remember buying and reading. It was Ryan the Future Force, I think number 9. I think it was number 9 from back in the day. And yeah, that's where I got it, from half price books. Um, that Power Girl isn't terrible, but I dropped it early on. She just felt more like Supergirl a lot of the time, despite having references to her. Oh, see, that sucks. If you're gonna do Power Girl, like keep it unique to Power Girl. I'm a little bit over the whole like, oh, she's conflicted because is she Power Girl or is she Supergirl? Or I'm a little over that. Like, can we move past that? She's figured out who she is. Now let's tell Power Girl stories. I'd like that instead. Um, Tom King, I could be wrong, but he seems sad. There's something going on. There must be multiple things going on up there. That man, he has a lot going. It's one of those things where I feel like Tom King is like that guy who always wants to assume that other people are silently suffering, or that they're like putting on like a false face, but it's just because he's so fucking broken up inside that he wants to assume that other people are broken up that way. I don't know. That's the feeling I get from Tom King. It's not a very good one. So I don't know. But yeah, I think I'm actually going to get ready to close this down because I have a few things I need to get done. I did want to do another stream because I said I was going to do one sometime this weekend. But now I'm also, because now I'm also like throwing out ideas of like I should do a video about this and I'm going to do a video about that. So I'm thinking to myself, I should probably actually get started working on some videos, because the other thing, aside from just not doing this streaming thing, the other thing I haven't done in a while is actually edit a video. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put this where y'all that are watching live, y'all get a little bit of a forewarning. Um, the first video that I upload is probably going to look strange, or sound strange, one or the other. Mostly just because I haven't done it in a while. I haven't edited a video, so I'm not going. I'm going to be rusty at it. That's all I'm saying. So, but I'm going to be working on that because I do have ideas that have been bumping around in my brain. I actually have like damn near 10 tabs that have been open on my browser for like close to a year, just because like there are things that I found interesting that I wanted to talk about and I haven't talked about them yet. So, I think that I'm going to be getting on top of all of that. So, I want to thank everybody for coming out and spending some time with me for Sunday. I will check out though, see what has been said. There are a couple more things here. Even weirder, they had a Supergirl special like 2 or 3 years ago where Power Girl did. That's what I remember, and I think they kind of like address that in that issue where she was like, I don't struggle with like the whole identity problem anymore because like now I'm confident with who I am. Like I'm Power Girl. You know what I mean? Like I don't have to worry about what's my connection to the Superman family. Like I am who I am. Yes, I'm related to them in like a weird type of way, and there's been all kinds of weird shit that's happened with universes. So I that's why I'm saying like they did that. So I'd like them to just keep doing that instead of constantly going back to that same well. Speaking of wells, what Zeb Wells and Marvel did with Spider-Man is reprehensible, and the antagonistic attitude aimed particularly at Spider-Man fans is annoying. I have heard that a lot. That Spider-Man fans, I'm a fan of Spider-Man. I've never considered, mostly because like I've heard other people talk about Spider-Man, and I feel like my interest in him just is not as high as other. Granted, I love the character, but I feel like other people, they got me beat, man, on Spider-Man lore and like knowledge and shit like that. Like they definitely have my ass beat. I also seen the lighting has returned to you. Yeah, I turned the light on. Finally turned the light on. I may possibly be doing it like this from here on. It depends. I'll see, because I do like that I could actually like see my background behind me. I can actually see my room. I like that. I like being able to actually like see my stuff. Granted, I see it all the time. And the other thing is y'all can't see what's in front of me because like just the way that this looks back here, it's basically the same thing on this side because I have a shelf exactly like this also full of stuff right here, and then the wall has just stuff all over it. So, if you remember my old setup, I had a wall of McFarlane figures, and those same McFarlane figures are right here. So, it's like it's a lot of the same stuff, but I purposely decided to put stuff that I didn't have in the background before behind me now. So that's partially what y'all are seeing. A lot of the stuff that's behind me now is stuff that was in my room previously, but I didn't get a chance to show it because like I can't put everything in the camera, you know. So this time I basically like flipped everything around to where it's, and granted there are still some things that were in the old setup that are in here. So if you have keen eyes and you remember the old setup or you've seen the pictures that I did in that last YouTube thing, then you've seen some of this stuff before. The By Goth was quite a choice. I mean, like I said, the only reason I did it like that was because I didn't know how much light was going to be needed in this room. That one was a dry run. So once I saw it, I was like, yeah, I definitely need more light. And y'all should have seen it. I was playing around with so many different lights in here and just like trying to like point lights. And eventually I said, you know what? The best thing I can do is just turn on the top one, boost up the ring light so that I don't have such harsh shadows on my face. Granted, I feel like I still have some of it, but we'll deal with that. It is what it is. Maybe though maybe for the videos y'all end up seeing like the By Goth thing. But I will try and do as much light in the room as I can manage. It's just that that's the only thing. It was weird. I had all kinds of lights on that was making it like if you were physically standing in the room, it looked bright, but the camera didn't think so. So I will definitely try my best to work with that. Just know when you see the videos, like I said, the editing may be a little bit wonky because I'm rusty, and then the lighting will probably be a little bit darker just because I don't know if I'm going to do this harsh of lighting just because like you can really see like I have missed out on a little bit of sleep recently, and that's fine. Happens. It happens when you get older. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and shut this down for this Sunday. I want to thank y'all for coming and hanging out with me. I'm going to do another stream um hmm, soon-ish. I'm not sure. I'm going to see if I can try and do one this week. If not, it'll probably be the weekend again. I'll start doing like a weekend thing, just do like one stream every weekend or every other weekend. We'll see. We'll see how it works out. But be on the lookout for the videos because, like I said, I have the video idea about. I'm gonna do the house tour so y'all can see like what other stuff I have in my house. I'm gonna do the video talking about fans have to be careful what you wish for because we may have ended up causing DC to start rebooting their shit every so often. And what was the other? Oh, talking about the first comic that I ever bought and read, which was Ryan the Future Force #9, and I think it was #9. I know exactly which cover it is, but I'll figure it out. Anyway, yes, thank y'all for coming and hanging out. I hope the rest of your Sunday goes well. Take care of yourselves and the family, and I will see you on my next video or stream, whichever ends up coming first. See you guys. Oh, there are two buttons to this, and I never remember, but this time I did.